Hi everybody! Welcome to another edition of my house art tour. I'm so happy to have you here now when spring is about to burst on the scene. We've only got 20 days left of this winter season before we reach the spring equinox and we all celebrate the coming of the sun. I'm so excited. Anyway, this video is about the first official interior decorating job that I got from my friend, and this job was so fun and such an honor for me to do. I've known this person for a very long time, and I, of course, love her so much, as everyone who knows her does. And anyway, I started this job in October. I was hired in October, and we finished up just before Christmas, or at least I finished up my part of the job. And so it was exciting. I've got a lot of pictures and footage of the job going along and so on. The best thing about this whole experience was being told that I really helped and made a difference in how this process went for my client, and her telling me that I was a very good decorator and that I made things a lot easier for her, because there was a lot going on in this process that didn't have to do with creating a spectacular outside effect or like a very like a visual impact, and that wasn't really my goal during this process. There were three considerations that I had that fashioned my approach to this job. The first one was that these people live in a house with a lot of neutral colors. So I am not, strictly speaking, a neutral color kind of person, and I knew that that was a sensitivity that they had and that I had to accommodate that. And in general, things had to be more restrained. Not completely, but generally. And compared to the way that my impulses. The second consideration I had was that my clients were undergoing a major renovation, and that was the reason they were bringing me on board, was that the bathroom was being gutted and the everything was taken out, and the bathroom was being stripped down to the subfloor, and the subfloor was being removed, and so everything had to be removed and it had to be all new. So that's the reason that I was there. They also didn't know, because of this renovation, they didn't know exactly how much the budget was going to be, or there was they didn't know how big the renovation was going to be. So I wanted to take it upon myself to err on the side of restraint, to make sure that I wasn't just doing things to make it, because this is the kind of renovation where you could add a whole bunch of things and make it look spectacular, but really what they wanted was restraint, because it was a contingency as to how what the costing was for this entire renovation. So I wanted to be sensitive to their taste, but also the fact that they didn't really know how big this renovation was going to be, and because there were contingencies. And the third consideration that I had to work with that set the tone for this thing was that my client felt compelled to do this whole renovation because she had to. And she didn't really want to, and she was feeling, she was wishing to feel a little more celebratory about this renovation. So in response to that, my main job was to make things, all of the choice making that she had to do, as simple and easy as possible, and for my messages to have a fun, stress-free atmosphere of celebration, so that it felt like she was just doing something very easy and fun. So that was my main job from what I could see. And the effect of it was a beautiful effect. The room turned out beautifully. It's understated and it's elegant and wonderful, and it's intact, and it suits the job that we wanted to do. The floor is protective and permanent, and it will last forever. And the rest of it go along with the tone of the house, and the things that we chose are sensible, and so I'm really proud of the work that I did. I know that interior decorating is sometimes very thrilling. In this case, it was very thrilling for me to fulfill the brief of my customer and to be sensitive to what this renovation was actually about. So that's what I'm most proud of. So we're going to go through some pictures now, and I'll show you all of the steps that I took. And so here we go. Thank you for joining me on this trip. Okay, so this is a picture that was taken when I first visited the house to do the first initial consultation. And as you can see, the floor is a ceramic tile, and the toilet is in a spot where you can see it immediately from the door. And there's a shower back where you can see the wall there. And there's a lot of wood features, which is nice. What I mainly wanted to do was take the feeling of metal and water and tone it down. So I wanted to create an earth and fire kind of feeling in the bathroom. Right now, as you can see, it's kind of cold and a little bit watery feeling. And the water energy in this area was kind of the issue. So I wanted to turn that around and really tame down the feelings of coldness and metal and make it a nice warm feeling with a lot of fire. And the wood features that are present here are really good. So there are already some existing pieces in the bathroom that were creating this nice warm feeling, which were going to go really well with the fire and earth that I was going to put in there. When I was initially first brought on, it was just to pick out the floor, the paint color, and the artwork, and a shower curtain. So I didn't have anything to say about where the toilet was placed, but my client is really smart, and she knew that the toilet should go probably somewhere where you can't see it from the door. And she did a lot of the decorating herself, which is good. My main contribution was to choose the feeling that I wanted to go for, and actually just to give her guidelines and to make it so that whenever a contractor would ask her for her decisions about something, that I would have already thought of those decisions, so that it would be easier for her to select what she wanted. In terms of feng shui, it was important for me to end up with a result that was warm and earthy and fiery, and really that could be achieved in a number of different ways. So I wasn't particularly stuck on one way to go. I just wanted to influence things so that that's the result that came out. During the initial consultation, we looked at all of the artwork on the website of Nadia Cheney, who is my friend's mentor, and she asked me to choose a piece that would kind of go with the elements that we were trying to achieve. And I chose this one, which has a very, very little water presence, and has a lot of fiery elements and wood elements and earth elements in it. So I was really happy with this. And it's called Archon Code, and such a beautiful painting. So this painting was what we were going to base the room on. This is how we were going to choose our some of the colors and the tones and things. And I chose this during the initial consultation. So the first thing I wanted to do was find out about the flooring option, because I knew that that would be most like the biggest thing that we were doing. So because I mentioned marmoleum and I was already a huge fan of marmoleum, I downloaded the specifications for a marmoleum floor. I watched a lot of installation videos. I called Action Flooring, which is the company we used ultimately to lay down the floor. I chose some initial colors, and I called Forbo, to the floor manufacturer, to make sure that the color choices were in stock. And I found out what kind of substrate the floor needed, and I consulted with a couple of carpenters regarding the floor options. And so it turns out that the main thing about a marmoleum floor is that it needs to be installed correctly, and if it isn't installed correctly, it will fail. So it has to be pressed down with a 100-pound roller, and it has a time period in which the adhesive is setting, and you need to press down the floor with a 100-pound roller during the time period that that it's sort of drying, but it's not dry yet. It's a very time-sensitive thing, so it has to be installed correctly. And another thing is that the floor has to be completely level, and it has to be like flat. So because the floor was being ripped out anyway, it was fine. I was able to tell about it needing to be level and flat, and the carpenters put two plywood subfloors, one after the other, to make sure that it was level, and they made sure that the floor was nice and flat in order to put the flooring down. So as a result, the marmoleum is absolutely perfect, and came out really well. So I'm glad I did that footwork. During our second consultation, we went to visit Action Flooring, and we asked them some questions, and we got some catalogs to take a look at. And we actually, in the parking lot, we went to Habitat for Humanity Restore so that we could find some lighting and vanities and things like that. And as we were sitting in the parking lot, we chose the floor that we were going to use based on the picture of Archon Code that was in my phone, and a picture of the sauna that's in the bathroom. So it was really easy, and it was obvious to both of us which one. There was only really a few options of flooring that would be perfect, and there was one called Rust, and that was the perfect color. So after our floor had been chosen, and we chose one initial color and then two backup or complementary colors, One was called Rust, that was our main color, and the other ones were white chocolate, which was kind of like a kind of greenish white with flecks of yellow and brown and kind of reddish colors in it. And then we had a second color that was kind of a brighter orange. And anyway, then we went into Habitat for Humanity, and these are the pictures from Habitat for Humanity. We were looking at lamps and vanities and everything. I took some pictures. None of the lights were exactly what I was looking for. I feel like I really should do some lighting, like put some lights together for people, because there are so many things that I was looking for that I just couldn't find ready to buy, And so that's something I'm kind of interested in doing. Anyway, there were lots of great things at Habitat for Humanity Restore. I very much recommend checking them out if you have a project that you're doing, and it keeps some of the stuff out of landfill, which is really a good thing to do. So this was the first light that I saw that was really all the things I wanted it to be. What I wanted was something that attached to the ceiling and came down, because I wanted the feeling of height, which is it's a part of the element of fire to have a lot of height in a room. And I also wanted the light to be a fire color, like red or orange or yellow, or even white. I was looking for white lights too. And the red ones, this red one was really good. And so this was fulfilling a lot of the things that I wanted. And in order to sort of show my client what the pendant lights would look like on either side of the vanity, I sent her some picture options for task lighting, and just to show her what it would look like, and that other people have done it before, and that it looks really good. And so then I sent her a plan for where to put the lights so that she could give this to the contractor. And there was also a possibility of having a larger vanity. So I made a plan for the smaller vanity and one for the larger one. And I also submitted my opinion about centering the vanity in the center of the wall and having the toilet moved over to the wall, which was the option that I liked. And so I sent that to them. And I also sent her 4 different options for dimmer switches and the pot lights that were going in the ceiling. So the 4 different options were that basically which ones were going to go on the dimmer switches. The first option was to have all 4 lights on the same dimmer switch. The second option was to have the 3 main lights on their own dimmer switch and the one over the sauna on a different dimmer switch. And the third option was to have the 3 main pot lights on their own dimmer switch, the one over the sauna on a different dimmer switch, and to have a colored gel light put in to make that like a different color, maybe pink or green, so that it would glow over the top of the sauna like a time machine. And that was my favorite option. I had already decided that it would be best to have the pot light over the sauna centered in the center of the sauna, so that it would be more effective, and so that it would glow kind of like a time machine. I was really happy about that, thinking of that. So the next thing I did was create options for flooring. I laid the plan for the bathroom over top of a design for the floor. The first design was just to have the floor all one color, and the second design was to include some white chocolate at the end. So the first part of the main part of the floor was all going to be one sheet of marmoleum, and we would have had to create or put another sheet of marmoleum at the end. So I figured it would be okay to have the white chocolate, which was our second favorite option at the end. And then our third option was to have an equal stripe of white chocolate with the orange. I didn't want to break anything up from the main sheet. First of all, because it would have cost more because the labor would have been more, but also I wanted the floor to be protected, and especially around the sink and toilet and the bathtub. I didn't want any breaks in there, even though they weld it together to make it all one piece. It was important to keep all that one piece anyway, so it was just the end that needed to be designed. And so the third option was to have a stripe of orange and a stripe of white chocolate, and then the fourth option was to have a triangle of orange and a triangle of and the rest of it white chocolate, which was an interesting option. It was the subject of electrical outlets. First of all, I specified that all of the outlets in the bathroom should be on a different circuit than all of the other outlets in the house. And that's important because if you're using a dehumidifier and a hair dryer and curling iron and a heater or something like that, then it can overload whatever circuit it's on. So I wanted to make sure that it had its own separate circuit, and all of the outlets would be CFGI outlets, which means that if there was a power surge, the outlets would switch off. Sure that she had extra outlets for lighting along the wall where there was on the bottom of this picture, there's a dresser, or there was a dresser, and I wanted to make sure that if they wanted to put a lamp there, they could. Then I specified where the dimmer switch should be, which is right near the door. And I wanted a vacuum outlet close to the floor near the window. And also at least one outlet over the sink for hair dryers and things like that. And then underneath, if she wanted to, an outlet for hair dryers and curling irons and things like that. And I wanted to mention that the awesome floor plan was created by Melody Bullard, who I used to know a long time ago, and it was so nice to see her name on the plans. So that was great. I think she's welding or something now. I'm not sure. I think she's a welder. Thing that we were involved with was the vanity options. She sent me a couple of vanity pictures. First, this IKEA vanity, which was a very cute option. And then secondly, she sent me this picture of a secondhand, beautiful, bulbous, weird vanity that I thought was really cute. It was a lot less expensive than the option she had chosen already. I thought it was really something and unique, and that she should snag this one. So this is the one she ended up getting. And because I wanted as much of the metal hardware to be or not look like metal, I gave her the option to get this black tap set. And this product had a lifetime warranty, which was great. And I did a little rendering to show, like a crude rendering, to show what the taps would look like on the vanity. The next thing we were discussing was paint, and I went to Canadian Tire and I got a whole bunch of samples that would fit the general feeling that I was looking for. This paint that they have called Premier Clean. I was looking at a number of different brands of paint. They had an eco paint with 0 VOCs also at the Kingston Painting and Decorating store on Princess Street, but I think it was made I can't remember what the name of the company was, but it was a really good paint, except that they didn't have any mildewcide and fungicide in the paint, which is important if you're putting it in a bathroom. But the Canadian Tire stuff did. And so the paint that they ended up choosing, I gave them a range of different paint chips, and they took them over to Deluxe, and they got a Deluxe Zero VOC paint, which was really good. And they chose the color themselves, but it was out of the kind of ideas that I gave them for the different paint chips that I gave to them to choose from. And I recommended a white paint on the ceiling and the crown molding, and then whatever color they wanted on the walls from the options that I gave them. And here is where I specified how much paint they would need and so on. The reason that I recommended a white ceiling and white crown molding is because I wanted to create that feeling of height. At this point, things were really starting to come together excitingly, and I have a montage of walking to her house. And I'm going to put them here because where else would I put them? This is walking to her house in order to help her put the paint on. And then after that, it's walking to her house in order to take the final pictures of the project. There's the jacuzzi. The jacuzzi has been installed. We've got ram board on the floor to cover it up to make sure that nothing gets on it. We're gonna tape that down before we start. And we got some primer on, and the ceiling's been painted once. That might be enough for the ceiling. What do you think? Whoa, I think that's enough, don't you? You don't need to paint that ceiling again. Yeah, why not? There's a blinding light, so who's going to be examining the Look at that gorgeous window. Oh, everything looks so good. So we're gonna. I have yet to see the light or the paint, so this is a big reveal for me. I can't wait to see what color they chose. Da 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 da. This is our color. Oh, it's sandpiper. That's gorgeous. Comes from the brown family, but it's the pinkiest of the brown family. Oh, isn't that nice? I just love it. Perfect. It's going to make everything really warm. Oh, isn't that nice? We can't wait to get started. Let's get started. That's Princess Towers, which actually is looking pretty good from this angle. Looks friendly.
The sun is just about to set. Let's see over there. This is the best angle Princess Towers has. Look at that lovely house in front. Kingston is changing so much. These new buildings are going up really fast. On Princess Street, this is Princess near University. That building is brand new. There are 3 or 4 other sites for buildings on the street now. Buildings, I think, with the same company. Large, mostly metal structures. Very interestingly designed. This one's called Unity Point, and the one across the street, it's called Unity Place. They both have kind of a something very something like a pyramid, something like stepped graduations, and very interesting architecture to them. There's Unity Place. It's open. 495 PRI. Princess. As you can see, pyramidal a little bit, like a ziggurat kind of. Interesting. So the sun has gone down now. It's intensely beautiful. You can still see some sunset over there. We'll still have Christmas lights because it's only February. But the ground is very dry, and I'm not even wearing boots. I've got shoes on. Looks like I'm walking in a fairyland. I am going to be visiting a fairy. I'm sort of like a fairy. Maybe this is a fairyland. Look at this beautiful house. So beautiful. Look at that sky. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at that purple. Oh, oh my God. What's the date today? Let's see, my phone will tell me. It's the 12th. Sunday, March 12th. No, February 12th. 2 days until Valentine's Day. Look at this nice branch. Oh my gosh. It's all I can do not to drag branches home. The snow is still around. Could it be more gorgeous? Let's see. I'm going past a house that's haunted. The person told me that limestone. Okay, almost there.
And here's the reveal. It turned out so nicely. As you can see, the marmoleum floor. Marmoleum is made out of resin and cork and linseed oil and things like that. So it's a very natural product and it lasts for a long time. Linoleum used to be exactly the same way. It was made the same way, but I think it's made differently now. Here you can see the lighting option that we went with. It wasn't the ones that I showed you before. It was actually something that I found at Habitat for Humanity Restore. They were these kind of brass looking hanging pendant lamps. They had a different shade on them, so I took off the shade and replaced the shade with a sort of a glass shade that looked like it was painted kind of with fur or something. It was really an interesting pattern on the lamps, but you can't see the pattern. In these pictures, though, you can see how tall they are. They're actually very solid, and I painted them with a zero VOC red paint, and they turned out really nicely, and I'm so proud of them. I think I might put some more lights together like this. Okay, so there we are. There we have it. That was the job. I'm really proud of myself, and I think that the result is beautiful. And so, really, I couldn't have asked for a better client. And it was an honor for me to be there for her at this time. And I think it went just as well as it could be, as well as it could. And so it was wonderful. I'm really pleased with this job. And so that's it. Anyway, so there's a lot going on with me. I'm really excited about the coming of the spring. It's my favorite season, except that summer is my favorite season, except that we have been through winter, so spring feels more momentous to me than summer. I love summer, but spring is such a relief and so happy for me. So I think a lot of things are going to change for me when the spring comes. I've been building up the soil in my backyard, which is great. Been bringing in a lot of compost, or burying a lot of compost, trying to bulk up my lawn, because the soil in there was very rocky and clay-like. And so I've been trying to recondition the soil, using a lot of, it's great. I've been using a lot of this stuff called, hold on, I'll just tell you what it's called. It's called Root Rescue, and it's this mycelial product that has many, many, many mycelial strains in it that help your garden. And so I've been putting that stuff in the backyard. I've been burying, my cat litter is like a pine cat litter, and so I've been burying cat litter in the backyard to create like a loamy soil, so that when all that breaks down, it creates a lovely, nutritious environment. And so it's been great. And so hopefully I have a better result from my garden, because I think I haven't been taking as good care of the soil as I should have been. And when you just plant things in the soil without bulking it up, I think it takes away from the soil a little bit. So This has been a good learning experience for me. And so I'm still working on my beautiful novel, which I'm really excited about. In other news, I'm still working on my photo show. Because I'm starting doing woodworking a lot on my own in my kitchen in this room. And I'm working on like a decorative mirror at the moment. And I'll probably do a video about that. Because I'm doing that, and the photo show for some reason is some of it, about half of it, is screaming for some kind of a wood carpentry element. And so I don't feel like I can hold back on that. Some of it is pretty understated. So it always takes me a long time to do things. You have to know this. Anyway, and I'm changeable, so I have to catch myself, at a time when it's like I just, it's going to happen. Also, it occurred to me that I'm very interested in like selling. I'm interested in retail. And I've got some things, and I've got a collection of things. Like I have a real collection that someone purchased from a person, and I have the means to sell it, but it's not mine. Some of the stuff I'm thinking of selling is mine, but this collection is not mine. And it was actually purchased by someone else, but they brought it to my house and they want to sell it. And so they agreed to give me a commission on some of the things. Anyway, it's pretty good. I mean, things that I'm pretty proud to have in my house in a way. Anyway, so that's great. And in the meantime, I'm trying to get on a job site, even though I'm kind of a tiger when I'm working. And I'm also kind of like a cat in that I could get into any small space and like fit through things and get into little spots. So it's nice that and plus I'm careful. Anyway, there are lots of good things about me that make me good on a job site. Anyway, my goal is to have a job on a job site in the next little while anyway. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Anyway, so this has been a great video. Thank you for joining me on my house art tour. And so all of those emails, I guess, are the artwork here that I did in this very house. And all the thinking that I did was in this house. And the acceptance of the job came from this house. So anyway, I'm excited. And the money came to this house too. So I guess that completes the cycle. It is a piece of art that kind of lives in my house in that way. And from the renovation, I also have some lamps that were secondary that she didn't really jive with. I've provided her with a few different options that day because I knew we had to make a decision on the spot. So I have those lamps, but I think I'll give them to my brother because he is building and he will have cause to need lamps. And so I've got some pretty cool little hipster lamps that I'm going to give to my brother. And for his building of a house that he's doing. Anyway, lots of love to you, everybody. Thank you for lasting through this video, and I hope that you all have a good day. It's almost spring. What is it? It's the 2nd of March. Exciting. Anyway, I will talk to you all later, and I hope you have a great day.